the sinister story of Clara Jumana Sele. In 1906, Clara was a student at St. Michael's Mission in South Africa. She was reportedly an orphan of African origin, but had been baptized as an infant, and at just 16 years old, Clara made a pact with Satan. She later went on to reveal what she'd done to the overseeing priest, Father Horner Erasmus, but in an account written by a nun, it was already too late. Clara was reported to be able to speak in languages that she had no previous knowledge of. Witnesses reported that she could speak and understand Polish, German, French, and any other language that they could throw at her. It was also reported that she had become clairvoyant, revealing many of her neighbours' most intimate of secrets. On top of this, she had seemed to have gained an extraordinary strength and a violent temper. She threw nuns around the room as if they were dolls, and it was reported that her screams resembled a savage beast, with one nun reporting that they sounded like a hellish choir. Well, the priest soon stepped in, and Father Erasmus performed an exorcism on Clara. It lasted an incredible 2 days, and at the pinnacle of the ritual, Clara was reported to knock the Bible from the priest's hand and attempt to choke him with his own shawl. Next up at number 4, we have the bizarre story of Ronald Doe. Now, people claim that the story of Ronald Doe is the true inspiration for the classic horror film The Exorcist. The story begins in the late 1940s. Ronald, who was 13 years old at the time, was traumatized by the loss of his beloved aunt, Harriet. His aunt was a spiritualist who had a fascination with the occult, and she taught him many things, including how to properly use a Ouija board. You know where this is going, right? Hoping to contact his recently dead aunt, Ronald set about using the Ouija board to make contact with her. Well, someone else picked up the call. In early 1949, Ronald began to experience strange things. Scratching sounds coming from around the house, water dripping out of the walls, and then he witnessed his mattress flip over by itself. Scratches began to appear on the boy's body with the letter X, which led priests to believe that he'd been possessed by 10 demons. That's pretty unlucky. After months and months of grueling exorcisms, Ronald actually survived the ordeal after reportedly witnessing a vision of St. Michael defeating Satan's armies on a great battlefield. Good job. Bringing us in at number 3, we have the tale of the Ammons family. Now, this story is pretty weird, but whatever the true outcome, it led to one of the strangest cases ever handled by the US Department of Child Services, and many of its events are detailed in an 800-page report. It happened, it's weird, let's jump in. In 2014, mother of 3, Latoya Ammons, claimed to police officials that her children had been possessed by demons, a pretty strong claim for anyone. But, well, when a social worker and a hospital nurse came to check on the children, they witnessed Latoya's 9-year-old son walking backwards up a wall. Now, that's not all. Latoya says that the strange tale began with flies. Wherever the children would be, there'd be a swarm of big, ugly flies that followed them. And despite constant cleaning and repellent, they were still there. They'd also witnessed her 12-year-old daughter levitating above her bed, unconscious. Seeking the aid of a priest, the children were reportedly violent and aggressive. They spoke in grave, beast-like tones, and the priest believed that the children had been taken into possession by a demon named Beelzebub, Lord of the Flies. The police officer who had led the case publicly stated that it was the strangest, most unexplainable thing that he'd ever seen. No kidding. Next up at number 2, we have the story of Anna Eklund. Now, this insane story of demonic possession reportedly lasted over several decades and followed Anna through her teenage years and most of her adult life. Born in 1882 in the United States Midwest, Anna had exhibited demonic possession symptoms since the age of 14. Raised in a Catholic household, Anna began to show strange signs during her adolescent years. She developed a disgust for holy objects, and it was also reported that she had a physical inability to enter a church. It is thought by the time Anna was 26, she was fully possessed by at least 7 demons. During a 23-day-long exorcism, dozens of people witnessed Anna do some pretty insane stuff. While she was unconscious, strange voices would talk in unknown languages. She would often vomit tobacco leaves and foreign spices, and she would verbally assault the people present with sins that they had committed in their childhood. It is believed that Anna's first brush with the demonic arts came from her aunt Mina, who was a reputed local witch and would supposedly prepare Anna's food with strange herbs. The amount of records on Anna Eklund is insane, and her case is considered by paranormal scholars as the most abundantly documented documented case of possession in the 20th century. And number one spot is the real story that inspired the Netflix hit horror film Veronica. You guys seen it? Pretty good. Now, Estefania's brush with demons remains to be one of Spain's most mysterious unsolved criminal cases. According to her parents, Estefania had developed a slight interest in the occult, which gradually led the teenager to perform a seance at school with her friends. According to a witness, they were attempting to contact the boyfriend of one of the girls who had recently died in a motorcycle accident. And you guys guessed it, they used a Ouija board. What happened next was a series of unexplainable events that occurred over a 6-month stretch. Estefania would descend into a strange version of herself, often having wild seizures and visions, and she would snap into fits of violent rage, snarling and barking like a beast at her younger siblings. After months of torment, she mysteriously passed away in her bedroom. Her death was unexplained. Her parents later reported walking past her bedroom at night and seeing strange, evil-looking, shadowy people. And then, on the evening of November 27th, 1990, police received a frantic telephone call from the Lazaro household. Her parents reported tall shadow people that had entered their home, and they were terrified to go back inside. As police entered the house, they felt the same eerie presence that had plagued her parents. And as they entered Estefania's room, they found a crucifix laying on the middle of the floor and a poster that had been shredded by claws. They witnessed furniture quickly shifting across the room and doors rapidly slamming. And in the living room, on the floor, was a picture of Estefania that had fallen off the wall and ignited itself on fire, but only the photograph was burned. The frame, including the glass, didn't have a single scratch on it.